just to ask right a campaign with the confidence rising. I told WDF don't switch, good times are coming on even deep diving. Fan cams, reactions, watch alongs to the pride of London thriving. The Eagles of South they flying. Keep your eyes on us, we ain't hiding.
It's going to be the most nerve-wracking. How many games we got left? 11? 10?
12.
Yeah. Very, very nerve-wracking 12 games to the end of the season. To the point where if we miraculously get 4 points from the next two, we've done okay. I use the term miraculously. Because we've got to build building blocks, don't we? We've got to first be able to have a shot on target. And maybe once we have that shot on target, hopefully it's one that the keeper has to make us a decent save. And then you build from that to actually try and maybe like really testing the keeper or scoring. Boy. I ain't got much to say. I said it all yesterday. I know JC said he ain't got much to say. So...
All I do know is that with all the away games that I've done this season, I've driven over 1,000 miles and I haven't seen a shot on target.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Neither have I. and the next two away games are Brighton and Arsenal, so we're probably not going to see one of them two either. If we don't laugh, you cry, lads.
We have to. I hope that the travelling fans. I hope the travelling fans are cheer a shot on target like it's a goal, because they're becoming like gold dust right now. Big up, AG. How you doing?
Good evening, gentlemen. How are we?
Very nervous.
Non-Palace related brackets.
Oh yeah, I'm great.
Yeah, everything in life is good. It's just Palace, not like.
Look, man, we're staying up, man. We're staying up. We're all right, man. We're just going through, in life you get many challenges and many things that will test and hold you down. But, it's not looking good, bro. It's not looking good.
It really isn't. Dan, we'll start with you, though. Your reaction to yesterday's game, and we'll hear from AJ.
I haven't watched back what anyone said, so this might be a really hot take. I don't know, or it might be in agreement. For me, I think yesterday was a weird one because obviously we need points on the board ultimately. But I think considering we played City, I actually thought defensively we played very well. Until they got the penalty, I think off the top of my head, I could only really remember Haaland having that opportunity that he probably should have scored. Besides that, defensively, I thought we were really solid. I think when you play City, you need that luck going forward sometimes, whether it's just a break or something like that. Like maybe, I don't know, like one of their players makes a mistake or Edison does a bad pass or something. I think you kind of need that element of luck when you play them. So I think overall it was just a weird one because in isolation, like if you looked at just that game and the performance, I actually thought we played quite well. But obviously there comes a time when you can't just say, oh, we played well, we got to start getting points. I'm not going to lie, I definitely don't think we're going to get any against Arsenal. I'd like to think we will get some against Brighton, but that's more blind hope rather than actual thought. I think for me, the Leicester game will be the really big game. I think if we lose the Leicester game, then that's when things need to really like happen. Or if they're planning to get rid of VIEIRA at some point, maybe it's debatably you should do it sooner rather than later. But for me, Leicester's the real like proper massive game.
AJ?
A lot similar to what Dan's saying, to be fair. Unfortunately, I've been away with illness and stuff, so I didn't get to go to the game. But take away that Elise mistake, our fans still going to be a bit peed off about how it played out yesterday. Obviously, it didn't work in our favour in terms of the refereeing decision. But I think defensive display on that side of the pitch, especially for the games and the points that we've picked up since the turn of the year, have been actually pretty impressive, to be fair. Because what I've said elsewhere is that in terms of the actual fixtures and looking at them on paper before we actually played them out, a lot of people had written us off and said we'd only collect, 3 points out of that? I think we collected, 5 or 6 over the past sort of month and a half. I think we got to ride the storm for a few more games. I don't envision going, in my head, I've got us beating Brighton for some reason. When it's Brighton, you know how that one goes. But then obviously we've got Arsenal after that, and then we've got the international break. So we have to make a decision as to if we are going to make a change, are we going to make the change then? Or are we going to let the manager do what he needs to do, back him properly in the summer, boardroom-wise, pull your fingers out and stop, throw the egos out for a little bit and get behind the team. I think the problem is everything's so toxic right now. We haven't seen a win in so long. The frustration is just pouring out of everywhere, to be fair. But what you got to take into consideration is the World Cup was in the middle of the season. Before the World Cup, we looked all right. We looked good. We looked comfortable. It's only because we don't have a cup run to back us. And on top of that, we've had the World Cup, and then obviously we've had some horrific fixtures since. Everybody's rattled and everybody's frustrated and everybody's angry. If we had a few lesser opponents in between that time, what you got to remember is we're not playing any more of the top 10 after Arsenal. It's just strictly winnable fixtures for that period of time. If we had them same results in that scale, I think we'd be looking at this very, very differently. Or I, at least, would be looking at it very, very differently. I don't think we're going down. I think we've just had Wilf back. We've just had Anderson back into the squad. The manager does need to sort it out attacking-wise. I can't say favoritism towards certain players that won't be named is a headache. But hopefully, fingers crossed, touch wood, we'll be all right, man. We'll be all right. I don't think we're going down. Let's just get out of it. We're still 12th. Wolves are currently getting slapped by Newcastle, so fingers crossed, touch wood, that stays the same. If we get a little cheeky result against Brighton and then obviously come to running in April / end of the season, I think the outlook will be different. I think right now everybody's just down in the dumps and everybody's looking at people to blame and fingers to point. And if we sat here for hours upon hours, I'm pretty sure you could find blame everywhere, including the management stance. But I think yesterday was a bit of a slap in the teeth because I think we locked out City for the majority of that game, and then to just lose on a bloody penalty is heartbreaking, man. And at the end of the day, when morale's down, fan morale is down, then the toxicity just spreads everywhere. So, we have to kind of be realistic to ourselves. Hand on heart, where should we be in the table? Hand on heart, what is this team capable of? And then more importantly, hand on heart, is the manager being backed enough to be able to lay out those markers and get things done that way? You know what I mean? You got to put it in perspective, boys. Like, the team on paper and the team for what it is, even if you factor in injuries and illnesses and whatever in the squad, versus what the Premier League is working and playing with, what are we? Where are we at?
Fair points, definitely fair points. We're going to dissect these points in more detail in a minute. Hazza, what's your thoughts? Mainly on yesterday's game, sorry.
It's just same old, really. No shots on target again. Defensively, we were okay. Kept them out for most of the game. And it's just a penalty let us down, and we just switched off for a moment when they took the corner. Then we give away a penalty, then they score it. Haaland is never going to really miss a penalty. And it's not a defence, it's going forward. We're just terrible going forward at the moment, and something needs to change.
Let's have a discussion about the forwards now. And let's have a serious discussion. Because you know what? I know a lot of fans don't like certain players. But I would say there's one specific player that and I'm not his biggest fan, but I will defend. Just the one, by the way, and such. But let's talk about it, because obviously realistically, obviously, you see a lineup, and the biggest issue is you might see the likes of Schlupp and IU and so on and so forth in the lineup. Obviously, whatever's happening with Eddie is happening. Like even in the presser, when they asked Vieira about Eddie has his attitude improved and stuff, Vieira was just like, yeah, he's still working on that sort of thing. It's almost as if he brushed it aside. It seems really bad between them two, you know. But it's obviously good enough to still bring him on instead of Mateta, which I was like, oh, thank goodness for that, to be fair. JC, IU. And I think this is where the fan base gets mad. It's the IU situation. Slap, well, it's more so IU. What's your take on IU?
IU is not the problem. I think that anyone that blames IU, that singles him out, needs to have a bit of a reality check, because when it comes to IU, we know what we get with him. You're not going to get goals. You're not going to get assists. You're not going to get like nice looking football. But what you do get from IU is something that you don't get from 90% of the rest of the team. You don't get heart. You don't get commitment. And I would say that there's probably only a select few in that team last night that actually showed that kind of will to play for the badge. I think you could probably say that Luca was another one that played for the badge last night. Anderson and Gay. But other than that, it's honestly questionable. But we have to say that sometimes I guess the cardio man, the effort, it doesn't lead to goals. It doesn't lead to results. But I guess he has to lead by example. Because if the rest of our team played like how IU plays, they're technically better than him. So if they played the same way IU does, they give the same amount of effort. They give that 110%. The whole team's going to get better. But because they all idle at 50% every game, no matter what, and it looks like to me they've got no incentive to play better than they are now. Because as we spoke about, our squad is so light. There's no competition anywhere. Like really, Mateta's got no competition for the striker role because Eddie has beef with VIEIRA. So Eddie's sort of out of the question. Mitchell has no competition. Klein, not really any competition. And it keeps going on. Elise doesn't have no competition. Zaha doesn't. So really, there's no one there to push them on. And also, we haven't been backed. Vieira pointed out the players he wanted. It was very public knowledge for the people that we wanted to go for, but we didn't go for any of them. However, if we had the money to go for them, then we would have more squad depth and a better team to start with. I think the main one to see there is Hamada. Look at how good he is, and he's only played a little bit of football for us. And some of the other players that Vieira was looking at was sort of that level, like that caliber of signing, but just all around the pitch. And if we get that, we're just a so much better team already. But we've got to work with what we have until the end of the season. And you know what? Even if it gets really bad, we can still get frees if you really need it.
Dan, Jordan,
I agree with JC. I don't think, because I just looked at how much we bought him for. So we bought him in 2019 after we got him on loan for the 18-19 season. So how many seasons ago is that? That's 5 seasons ago. £2.5 million we paid for him. And we're still here 4 or 5 seasons later starting him. Like JC said, I don't think he's a problem. I think it's the squad that's a problem. I said this to everyone around me yesterday. I don't think there's a problem with having Jordan Ayew in the squad. I just don't think he should be starting because he doesn't have that threat. I think he'd be a quality player to have for us if we're like 1-0 up, 2-1 up, something like that. And we need a player just to make those runs into the corner, win a foul, things like that. I think he's really good at that. And that's the kind of position that I'd want to see him fulfill in this squad now. But the problem is that we haven't developed enough. We haven't developed the squad enough where we found someone who's better, basically.
You say you don't want him starting, by the way, Dan. Mm-hmm. Why is that though? If you look around our front line, has he merited to start? I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate here.
I think in the context of our squad, as in, so what I meant was like, ideally, he wouldn't be starting. Like we would have bought someone else to fulfill whatever we need him to fulfill. I mean, ideally that would be Elise, to be honest. I think in the context of what we have, yes, I think he probably should be starting / maybe on the cusp of it. But I think it's a failure with the squad that he is starting, because we should have bought an upgrade on him. We should have bought an upgrade on him within the last 4 or 5 seasons.
AJ?
To be fair, I think the boys are pretty much on the money, especially what Dan was just saying, actually, funny enough. I think overall, the way I look at Jordan Ayew is it's situational. It depends on who the opponent is. He does work hard. I will never take that away from him. He can, on occasion, be pretty decent on the ball. But I think the overall output of what he gets figure-wise is piss poor. Like, that's the reality of the situation. He doesn't even get you the kind of 5 to 10 goals a season guaranteed that you need out of a Premier League winger or even a Premier League attacker. He's not really a striker for us. I don't really even know what he does, to be fair, in terms of an actual out-and-out position. However, that being said, when he does play, you can't take away the fact that he does work hard. But he is a very frustrating player because his decision-making isn't always... his decision-making is essentially terrible. He's not... The thing is, if we sold Jordan Ayew tomorrow, the way I look at it is, A, how much money would we get for him? We'd be lucky to get half of that 2.5 million back. The second factor in is, how many other Premier League teams does he get into? Probably none of them, if we're being brutally honest with ourselves. So I think the whole thing with the Jordan Ayew thing is, for us, and for what he just gives you a different element of attack. If you, like, pretty much batting on what Dan was saying and what JC was saying. When you are 1-0 up against a certain opponent or 2 or 3-0 up and everything, he will get the ball and work hard, and he'll run at the fullbacks and kind of give him something to worry about, and he will kind of dribble the ball and draw fouls in. But then after that, what else does he really do? He's not an Elise type player. He's definitely not a Wilf type player. That's me just comparing it to what we have. And I depending on what we do in terms of recruitment in the summer, I would debate, yeah, he's a squad player, but he's not a starter for us. If we want to push on and start making that transition into becoming a more established top 10 team, we can't be doing that with a player like Jordan Ayew in our starting 11. It just can't run. No way.
Rich, you're muted again.
I'm so bad with that, you know. I'm always muting myself and then forgetting I'm on mute. Hazza, sorry.
Ayew certainly not the problem. I know we've got probably over half of Palace fans say that Ayew is the problem, but at least he tracks back for the team as well as staying forward. Like you get players like, if Mateta plays and Zaha plays, they normally just stay forward. At least Ayew goes back and tries to help defend as well as being forward.
Yeah, Nick?
Yeah, what's up?
Thoughts on Jordan Ayew and the role he's currently playing in the side?
I mean, I'm pretty much going to mirror what AJ said to be truthful. Like, you can hit the whole Ayew is the problem scapegoat all you want, run an agenda on every player you want. But reality is we're in this mess because for a number of years, even with Roy, what were we not doing? Identifying players that would push us up a level. Identifying players that would put our existing players under pressure and say, hold up a minute, my spot in the team isn't secure now. There was no competition under Roy. All the same habits were picked up and they've allowed to linger. VIEIRA hasn't been properly backed to the degree that we would like him to be backed. I'm not saying he hasn't been backed. That's obviously he has. But how many of the current players before VIEIRA came do you really think deserve a new contract? That's the question I think you need to ask a lot of people. I don't see Jordan Ayew getting a new deal. I wouldn't be against him getting a new deal, but I don't see him getting a new deal. Hopefully Jeffrey Schlupp doesn't get a new deal because it's time to move on from a lot of these players. Luka last night, apart from his yellow card, which it's Luka, he's a yellow card magnet, I don't think he put much of a foot wrong. But again, people want to jump on the bandwagon of, oh, Luca's playing, we've lost already. Nah, not really. One mishap at the back from Elise where he went full-blown brain dead, and we can see the penalty that, let's be fair, City missed a host of chances last night, which if City were in the mood, they'd have put away. Could have been 4, 5, 6 had they scored those chances, including Haaland missing from, what was it, 5, 6 yards out, if that. You know, Alvarez missed one as well. It's just, I don't want to jump on the bandwagon of Vieira out right now because, frankly, I think that's just laughable. Like, it is always going to be harder in the second season when we're missing Conor Gallagher. We allowed our midfield to get weaker by not giving Kouyaté a new deal. Granted, we've got a new policy where we're not handing players over 30 long-term deals. Fair enough. But the time was there from the end of last season, from May of last year to the start of the season in August. They had ample time to go and make sure they could identify players, be it loans, transfers, academy, whatever. The idea was, right, let's hope to God they get it right. I'm not saying spend a whole bag of money. That's not going to happen. But the idea was, right, we need to see, can we start blooding players through from the academy? We saw David Ozil get, 5 minutes, whatever it was. Not ready yet, right? I would love him to be ready, but he's only 17. The whole idea with me now, right, is last night was just another one of those games where we weren't terrible, but we offered nothing going forward. But that's been the story of our year in 2023. You know, but look, we get Arsenal and Brighton and Arsenal, out of the way. You never know. But we all said Villa was a must-win, and what did we do? We all said Brentford was a must-win. And at 1-0 up, seconds on the clock to go, what did we go and do? Charity Professional Football Club. I'm getting sick of saying it at this point. But it's not all doom and gloom. Me personally, I'm looking at that defeat to City last night and saying, yeah, we've seen them smack us 3-4, 5-0 in the past. So 1-0 is by no means a bad mark. It's obviously bad that we haven't won yet still. But we take a point of Liverpool, Man United, and Newcastle at home, which none of us saw we were doing. Even the most optimistic of Palace fans was thinking, we're going to get back by all 3 of these teams. And we weren't. So it's a funny one for me because part of me wants to be annoyed that we keep losing, but part of me is saying, get to the summer. Hopefully, we spend a bit of money. We clear out a lot of dead wood in the club, and we go again next season. And I think we'll just about stay up, but it's not looking good at the moment.
No, it's crazy, Derby.
Sorry, Rich, can I just ask something? Just on Nate's point, and I've just seen this a lot on Twitter. Are we blaming Elise for that penalty yesterday? Like, straight up? Because
not him alone, I would say.
The only reason why I'm defending him a little bit on that.
The whole team switched off. It wasn't just him.
Yeah, he was covering 2 men. And I've seen, and that's not me digging out what you were saying at all, Nate. So I do apologize if it comes that way. But it was only because obviously when I watched the game, innit? So of course you did as well, duh. But the whole team was essentially switched off.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? I think Elise is getting a little bit too much flack on that one because he was actually covering his man he was supposed to. Nobody was covering the Don on the front post. That's why he had to go in reckless like that because he was in a panic.
I'm just watching it back, and ironically, look, do you know who should have been covering him?
So are you in it?
Yeah.
Fuck's sake.
AJ,
you know, it's a weird one because like he runs from very deep, doesn't he? So I was wondering, was Wolf trying to communicate to Ayew whilst Ayew was trying to get information from Gaeta? It just seemed like a complete mess, you know, like, and obviously Gundogan's thought, oh, snap, they ain't even paying attention there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because I've just started the clip and it's got Zaha pointing at Gundogan and then Lokonga's pointing at Jordan Ayew and then Vicente Guaita's got like his hand up in the air doing I don't even know what. Like he's got both his arms out and they've just taken it. Oh mate. That's
the thing is,
me.
right?
I hadn't seen that until just now. Well, obviously I was there, but I wasn't.
You see AJ's point about people are trying to blame Elise. The only reason they're doing that is because this fan base in particular loves a scapegoat. Doesn't matter how bad we as a team performed in that moment, they will pick one player out and say it's his fault. I'm famous for it. I did it with Wayne Hennessy time and time again.
Yeah, but Wayne Hennessy deserved it.
No. But
hey, what the goal? Come on, bro.
No. But I would very rarely actually look at what led to Hennessy being at fault for the goal. whether it was Scott Dan, Damien Delaney, Jason Punchin, any player in front of him that didn't check their man or didn't mark their man, Hennessy was the one getting the blame of me. Then I realized, oh, actually, yeah, that's more Punchin's fault on that one. Yeah, that didn't age well. But you see what I'm saying? People love to pick a certain player at fault and go, it's he's the reason why that penalty was given. Let's be honest, that's at the other end of the pitch, and we're given that. We're thinking, sweet, that's a really, really great penalty to get. And at that late stage in the game, you're not gonna turn it down. Yeah. And let's be real, they only needed a penalty to beat us. From open play, they weren't scoring. Which we're pretty good at the moment. Yeah, so go ahead, Rich.
I was just going to say, this is the reason why I brought up this question, because literally, and don't worry, Luke, we are going to get you involved in the conversation. I'm just going to give you a different question. All I saw regarding like comments and stuff was, it's because Ayew and Schlupp were playing. And in my head was like, what? But they didn't play that badly yesterday. You know, it just seemed to be like, yes, they shouldn't be starting. Don't get me, they should not be like, and it's 2023 and we're still starting the likes of Ayew and Schlupp. That's a problem. And 100% agree. But I think Schlupp did a very good man-to-man marking job of Bernardo Silva, who was absolutely everywhere, by the way. Ayew did a decent job tracking back because obviously Akanji was playing at right wing forward, as well as Foden. You know, I think they all, to an extent, played their part. It's just unfortunate one lapse in concentration. I think we could have seen the game out. Apart from that, I think we were doing really, really well. We did ride our luck.
I agree, man.
Don't get me wrong. We rode our luck. I'm not saying we didn't, but you have to get luck in these sorts against the bigger teams, 100%. But I felt, especially in the second half, I felt it got to a stage where they weren't getting the joy they were getting on the wings like they were in the first half. Because in the first 10, 15 minutes, both Klein and Mitchell were having mares, you know? And that's credit to Grealish and Foden. They were on it. This time last year, we were saying 100 million in Klein's pocket. I was watching Grealish. I was like, he's got him on ropes, you know? Like, bad, you know? And so that's the reason why I asked, because like I said, I've said this all the time. I'm not Jordan Ayews' biggest fan, but I cannot understand the slander. If you're going to slate anyone for anything, I will put it on Wilf. But who's going to be ballsy enough to say it? He was poor.
I'll say it. Poor. He was poor, bruv. I back it 100%. Good chest. Wilf, barring that goal that got disallowed the other day, he's not really done anything since he's come back, you know. And I say that with chest. I love Wilfried Zaha more than anything. I mean, the man's a club legend, probably the greatest player we've ever had. But we, as a fan base, need to kind of get to that point where, you know what? If he's had a crap game, he's had a crap game, because no player is bigger than any club.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, we understand that he's not a centre forward. Now, when he went to the left-hand side, we looked so much more balanced and such. So that's a PV issue there.
But the thing is,
why should it just give a bit of effort?
Yeah, but you got to remember, Rich, it don't matter how bad a game he has, his little fan club on Palace Twitter will never, ever, ever allow you to talk bad about him. Right? I can remember, I think Hopkin looking the curl one said that Wilf was having a mare, and like that, they were on him instantly. Now, he stood his ground and said, listen, the facts are the facts, right? As much as everybody idolizes Wilfried Zaha and loves him for all the things he's done for us over the years, he's not immune to having a bad game. And the Villa game, he was a bit unlucky that it got chalked off for offside because, again, toenail difference. But let's be fair, if it's on the other end of the pitch, we're praying it's given as offside, so we can't really complain too much. But yesterday, he was effectively anonymous. And that's partly because City did a job on marking him out the game, which is what you'd expect them to do with the money they've invested. But also, we're all saying to ourselves, why are we still going back to the old Palace way of give it to Wilf, see what he can do? There's no one on that pitch, aside from him, that should be able to do enough to make something happen. Now, obviously, none of us did anything from Man City at home. We all kind of came into it thinking, let's just keep the scoreline respectable and keep it moving for them lot on Wednesday, which, again, that's going to be fun. I normally am excited about that game, but now I'm dreading it, and I don't want to have that feeling. But because we're so poor, it's like, oh boy, thank God I'm working. I won't be able to watch it. I'll be at work.
Will, it could be Will's last game against Brighton at the Amex, mate, boys. He's cooking. He better cook something special.
Hopefully so.
Listen,
Hopefully so.
scenes if he scores a last-minute screamer in front of the North stand, giving it to their fans with cup in the ears, like that would be the ultimate.
We'll take it.
What I would say, Rich, is there's players that hide so often in the last couple of weeks. They're not getting dug out for it because everybody's sticking it to Jordan Ayew, Jeffrey Schlupp. Last night was Luka Milivojevic. Sammy Lokonga got dug out by Villa, and he was poor at Villa, Lokonga, right? But there's Mitchell. Again, I'm thinking, yeah, the hype around this guy is a little bit mad now because I'm like, he's not it. The England call-up went straight to his head, as JC said months ago. So, but look, it could have been much worse. But sorry, we got to give Luke a platform, so I'll stop talking.
I was going to ask Luke, and I'll go around with this. Now, I think where we're at as a club is like there's a massive decision to make, and the decision has so many different factors.
Yeah.
One of them is leave it as it is, give VIEIRA until the end of the season, and then take it from there. Hopefully, back him. Another one is give it to the end of the season and then make a change. Some have been saying get rid of him now, but then the question is who do we bring in? It's just mad. Would you? And I'll go around with the panel. Would you? Let's say that he is to be backed. Would you be happy with keeping Patrick Vieira as gaffer?
I want to keep him
hypothetically backed in the summer.
I want to keep him until at least the summer. If he's not backed, then quickly change it. But then the question comes back: who's out there? Who is actually out there? Like Pochettino, Tuchel, all them lot, they won't come to us. Then you've got the mid-tier, that is Fonseca. I don't know, just you've got mid-tier and then you've got the lower tier, which is like Ralph Hasenhüttl or someone like that. Like, but who's going to come in though?
It's funny you say that. I have heard Hasenhüttl. I've heard Jesse March.
I tell you what, Favre would be funny, wouldn't it?
I've heard Bielsa, and I'm just like, I saw all these guys were getting kicked up because they were about to get relegated. Like, anyway, so look.
Would you bring in Fonseca? We were linked with him, weren't we?
It's so difficult to tell though, like because he could come in and be just as bad. Like we're not going to know.
Yeah, but Fonseca was, I think he was at Shakhtar when we were linked with him. He was like
he's at Lille now, yeah.
Hmm.
And wait, did De Zerbi replace Fonseca out of curiosity?
Yeah.
That De Zerbi has a habit of making other clubs look better after their gaffer leaves. I tell you what.
Yeah.
I don't think if anyone's at Lille right now, you wouldn't leave them, would you? You're fighting for a European football.
And also, he only joined him in June as well, so I don't know if that would be a.
Well, then again, no, that's a bit of a stupid step. Will Steele, they're still paying like fines every single game he manages.
Yeah, mad.
Oh,
and he's a London, and he's a London boy as well, isn't he? Even though it is a football manager guy, he's still getting results.
I do. Not obviously a bit slightly divergent, but I do think we will start seeing managers who didn't necessarily play at the highest level more often, like people like Will Steele.
Yeah, Hazard. What would you do? Like, no, that wasn't a question. If we were to survive, obviously, would you trust VIEIRA with money in the summer?
I would like to see VIEIRA gone in the summer. Look, I've been saying VIEIRA out now, but the question is who would you bring in? Because there's not, that many managers available. Palace would bring in. If he was going to sack VIEIRA soon, it would probably most likely be just like a interim manager. until the end of the season.
Dan.
I would keep Vieira, and the reason why I'm saying this is that I don't get how we could play like that football we played under in last season. When the players were in the right place, that was genuinely the best football I've ever seen Palace play. And the fact and the matter of the fact is that that is only the second time in our whole history that we got a positive goal difference in the top flight. It was also a joint joint second best ever season as well. No, I think joint third best ever season in the top flight. I think we were desperately unlucky to finish 12th. I think the timing of conceding goals really killed us. And I think if he's able to replicate that with a lot more money and a much better squad, then I'd be all for it. Do you know what I mean? It's not like he's come in and been crap the entire time. Do you know what I mean? Like in this first season, he was quality, and I would like to give him the benefit of the doubt and kind of say, okay, if he does get the players to play the same system as last season, and he is backed, then I'll be all for it. But you know, that's a big if, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. JC?
I would keep Vieira, and I'll tell you why. The caliber of player that the Vieira name brings in compared to whoever we've had previously is completely different. Like if you look at like our last few managers, Allardyce and Pardew, the best that they could attract was Benteke, Luca, Van Arnold, people like that. But then with Vieira, we're getting Chet Decore, we're getting Michael Elise. I know with Hodgson we got Eze, but I've got a feeling that Vieira was already in the mind in the future to come through. So, and then you look at Anderson, Gay. We're not getting these kind of players with another manager, really, are we? You all right, Rich?
Never had some balloon things. She's just stripped all on the floor. Not the bubble thing, sorry.
Yeah, I think the caliber of player that Vieira can bring in and just the clout that his name brings to the club makes better players want to come to us, really. And I don't think that there's many other managers out there that can make us look like an enticing prospect to go to, really. And I think that's just the reality of Crystal Palace as a club right now. We're not the most attractive team in the world. Our best quality is that we're kind of in London. But with Vieira, you've got a footballing legend in there, someone who's worked with some of the best academies in the world at Man City. He's worked at New York and he's got to bring through a few talents. That's how we got Elise, because he worked with him at Man City. He's had his time in Nice and he got them to Europa League. So like the credentials are there for him to be a really good manager for us. And he's had the history of bringing in some good players. It's just sorting the players out and playing them in the right positions the only thing that I have an issue with right now.
Nate?
Yeah.
So I was on mute again.
No worries. What's up?
Same question. Like, if you were to give Vieira money in the summer, if you were to be back, would you keep it?
I'd back him. This is the thing. Like I'm just getting fed up with the same old outcome of every game. Like, it's not a case of I want the manager gone because the manager going is going to make everything better and all these players are going to be good again. They were playing for him last night. The annoying thing is that we're making the same mistakes in key areas of the pitch constantly, particularly going forward lately, and for some reason we can't get it right. Now, when you look forward to the summer, the hope is that the lessons from last summer and January I learned in that we weren't spending money, and when we only spent money on one signing in the summer, which was Decore, because Malcolm Mbuwe was a free, Sam Johnston was a free, and we signed someone else I think on a free, didn't we? I think.
No, we got Richards for what's it?
Oh, Richards, yes. So we spent money on two signings.
Was he?
Yeah. So if you look at it, right, we spent, what was it, best part of 46 million pounds on both Richards and Doucouré. Not bad investments, because Richards, when he's played, has actually looked okay. And Doucouré has been by far and away one of our best players this season. But the issue then lies is that why are we still looking around the free agent market when there are players out there? Now, granted, we might see Malcolm become a key player, hopefully, if he gets enough to game time at Hull City. Sam Johnston was hopefully going to be the like-for-like upgrade on Guaita, but there's now talk that we're looking at David Soraya at Getafe, who we got Guaita from. I don't think it's going to happen personally, because between then and now, if he looks at our league position, he might think, you know what, I'll stay in Spain. Getafe are much the road in La Liga, but
yeah, but they're used to relegation battles too, so you know the experience will be great.
I'd take him, but again, like, it really just does depend on what you as a Crystal Palace fan expect from Patrick Vieira next season. Bear in mind, next year is his last year of his 3-year deal. So me personally, I'm of that mind frame where he needs to get that first win now soon to get this pressure off him and give the fans a little bit of respite, because it's getting very picky and very clicky on Twitter now with Palace fans. Is that if you're not back in this agenda, you're not in the club. You're not in with the cool kids. Do I think Vieira has to go? I think that'd be the worst decision we could make, because who's out there that would actually do better than what he's doing? What doesn't help him is there's no clear-cut rotation options available, because Ayew and Schlupp, unfortunately, are the best we have. And Ayew by no means is at fault for anything we've done, because he's been one of our better players in this bad run that we're on, right? And I'm a man for an agenda, but I'm not gonna give a player like Mateta, for example. We heard it for ages. Remember how great he is, and 1 goal all season. Edouard's got 5 or 6, if I'm not mistaken. So who do you really want playing up top for you? Because it's not Mateta at the moment. If Mateta proves me wrong, I'll hold my hands up. But I could be waiting 600 years for him to do that. So, it needs to change. But no, I wouldn't get rid of Vieira, personally speaking. I'd back him in the summer.
Cool. Just a few comments. Tom's saying here, Vieira's post-match interview, it was appalling and in denial. I've always wondered with media stuff, like whether they tell the full truth. I can never read it. It's just difficult. But he does seem to say the same thing over and over again, PV, like, which is a bit like, come on, like, give us something a bit different. He also says you're in denial regarding PV. Dan, sorry.
Well, all I did was say some facts. So
Big up, Jackie. I sort of agree regarding PV staying, but at times he and team are tactically naive, lack of cohesion. They have talent. Yeah, absolutely.
Facts.
I do agree with that. I'm not gonna lie. Like when I rewatched, don't ask why I did it, but when I rewatched that Villa game back, man, you can see why we got the lowest running stats in the league, because they just don't run and make space at all. Like there was several times there was a massive gap in between like Villa's defense and midfield, and no one put, like, our players just stood on their defenders and just didn't do anything. Like not one of them dropped back into the space to try and receive the ball or anything like that. Like It's
funny you say that, because you know what, like even last night, it was clear that our aim was to get the balls right into the channel, mainly the left channel and such. And I think there was one occasion, like Ayew's running into, like, he's running to a dead end, like he's running towards the touchline. There's only one place he can put the ball, and Wilf is nowhere to be seen, and he actually plays that ball with his left foot down the line, great areas, no Wilf,
Yeah.
Yes, it's just all round. We're just not moving for each other. I think we just want everything perfect. It's like, it has to come right to my feet.
Yeah, because Wilf was complaining earlier that he wants that ball, but then when Ayew delivered, where was he? On the other side of the pitch. Not even at the halfway line. Thinking, and then what was that spat that he had with Ayew? Like him and Ayew were having an argument as they were breaking down the left. I was thinking,
I remember that.
What is happening? Zaha passed the ball to Ayew badly, and obviously it didn't happen. He went past it because the pass was bad. But then Zaha
Was that when he tried the flick?
No, it was on like it was at like the halfway line. I think they was trying to do a 1-2, but when Zaha passed it to Ayew, he passed it behind him. The ball went out of play, and Zaha's arguing with Ayew, even though he's the one that passed it out of play. I'm thinking, really? And then bear in mind, those two are arguing and they're breaking down the left.
Trust me. Look at City, always on their toes, planning next passes. Palace could be this, but not thinking next pass like strangers. Yeah, you know, and I think another thing that doesn't help is our 11 changes too much. I think we've literally, for these next 12 games, PV just needs to say, he needs to pick an 11, put them in the right place, and just let them go for it every game. If it means that I know there's certain players that we want to see in the thing, but if he's saying, right, this is my 11 for the next 12 games, at least there may be a little bit of continuity. I don't know. But we need to get a shot on target first.
Start our 4 best attacking players.
Yeah.
Sorry, Luke. Start Eze, Elise, Zaha, Edouard. Just go for it. And then whoever we have in the midfield, have Decore and Lokonga. Or you play the 4-3-3 and like the same formation from last season, you play 4-3-3, you play them in the 3, you play Lokonga, Decore and Eze. And you play the forward line of Zaha, Edouard and Elise.
Do you think that we see this is and I agree, I would love to see them all start, to be fair.
I've got a hot take here.
Defensively, I'm worried. That's the only issue, and especially with the teams that we've been playing. You know, defensively, I'm thinking. I mean, Elise worked his socks off yesterday. You know, I watched it back, a bits of it back. I was like, actually, you know what? One thing that we've criticised him previously is that his defensively, he's not getting back quick, but he's been tracking back like really, really well and stuff. So that's the only side to it. Like against from Leicester going onwards, I'll be like, yeah, you know, play them all and get our Hamada starting in it as well. Because what he did in 10 minutes? No, sorry, he came off for Lucas, so half an hour. He was just forward thinking, and this is against Man City. He was like, I don't care, I'm gonna be running forward, and it was brilliant. It was brilliant to see.
I agree.
You know what, JC, I think we should run them through everyone else's player ratings. See what their thoughts are based on yesterday.
Okay, well, we did our player ratings, and so I think certain people weren't too happy about it. But we'll go through you guys' player ratings. Let you guys do it. So I'll just go around. Dan, I'll give you VG.
I mean, I don't really remember him having to do much, to be honest, before the penalty.
He had to see. I think he made a few good saves. He saved Rodri's slap, and it went through loads of people, and he saw it really late. It was a good save and a Haaland save as well. Which was
do you know how mad that was? I think they had the ball for 2 minutes at the start of the game. We did touch the ball.
Oh yeah.
I'll give him a 7. I'll give him a 7.
Luke, I'll give you Klein.
You muted, Luke.
Please. I'll give him a 5. Could do better going forward. I mean, I've seen the stat on Twitter that he didn't go forward enough and he doesn't cross the ball.
This is your opinion, Luke.
So I give him a 5.
Okay. Hazard, I'll give you Mark Gay.
I think Gay defended quite well. I'll give Gahey 7.
Nate, I'll give you Anderson.
Anderson. Much like Gay, defended well, tried to marshal that back line, had to deal with a lot of pressure from City. Didn't really put much of a foot wrong. Still better than Tyrone Mings. Agendas are going to agenda. Don't care what any Aston Villa fan says. I'm not hearing this Tyrone Mings business. But I'll give Anderson a 7. He didn't really put a foot wrong.
AJ Mitchell. Or did I say Mitchell already?
No, we've not done Mitchell.
Yeah, Mitchell.
5 out of 10. I mean, he had an okay game. Hasn't really looked like the Tyreek Mitchell of about 18 months ago. Not setting the world alight. Obviously, in a game like that, couldn't really get forward. There were crosses coming in. He was getting beaten a couple times, but he was relatively okay. 5.
Dan Lokonga.
Let's try and remember who he was playing now. I thought he was our best midfielder that started, if I remember correctly. I'll give him a 7 because I actually thought he was our best midfielder of who started.
AJ, I'll give you Luka.
Luka Milojevic. I'll give him a 5 as well. Average game, still did his job. Considering he hasn't played this season, and considering he came up against a team like Manchester City, I feel like he did an average job. Didn't really stand out, but at the same time, didn't really make any heinous mistakes. Bang average performance, 5.
Luke Schlupp.
He did defend well. I'm going to give him a 6. He did chase Bernardo Silva around for the whole 90 minutes. So give him a 6.
Hazard, I'll give you Ayew.
I think Ayew worked quite hard. I mean, going forward, he wasn't the greatest, but when we was talking about Ayew, of course, we said we know what we're going to get from Ayew, but I feel like he cared and tried hard, so I think I'd give Ayew quite an average 6.
Okay. Dan, I'll give you Wilf.
I thought he was pretty poor yesterday, to be honest. I think when he didn't get the ball very often. Okay, granted, we're playing City, but I don't think he made the most of the opportunities that he did have to do that. I'm not going to lie, I was about 3 points deep at this point, so I can't really remember. But yeah, I'm going to give him a 4 because I think what he did have, like, he didn't really do much with it.
Rounding up the starting 11, AJ, I'll give you Michael Elise.
Oh boy, and I love Michael Elise. I'm gonna give him a 4. Unfortunately, it wasn't his fault, but he was the one that conceded the penalty. He didn't really create any kind of attacking threat. Let's be honest. I think he crossed the ball in once, if that. I know he's taking set pieces and he's growing in confidence because he's starting more games. But for what I expect of him, he might as well have not been there. I think he got locked out completely defensively. I felt like he didn't really have any presence on the game. He wasn't even really getting forward and creating fouls or creating chances. So 4.
Let's go to the bench now. Who came on first? Dan, I'll give you Ahamada.
I know he wasn't on for very long, but I'm actually going to give him an 8 because, like Rich said earlier, he was forward thinking, even against a team like City, like he was just going for it. I thought he was desperately unlucky not to win the free kick at, I think towards the end. He nearly won a free kick towards the end.
Yeah, ref got in the way as well and gave them the ball.
Yeah, which that wasn't too good, Mr. Referee. After his actually, I won't suggest that he got bribed by the Man City lot. But anyway, yeah, no, I'll give him an 8. I thought, I'm joking. It's a joke. I'll give him an 8 because he tried, and I think he deserves to start next game. I think he should start against Brighton.
Definitely. Luke, I'll give you Joel Ward, one that we didn't expect was going to happen.
When he came on, he actually looked very forward thinking. I think he got more forward than Klein.
Yeah, he did.
So I'm gonna give him a 6.
Okay. Who's watching videos on their phone? Because we can hear that.
It's proper giving me like Coco Melon vibes.
Yeah. I think it's Nate, because I can see it in his glasses.
It's not me, funnily enough. It's actually not me.
Hazard, I'll give you Eze.
To be honest, I think he came on too late. To be honest, he came on after we went 1-0 down. Didn't really do much, so it would have to be a 4 for me.
And finally, Nate, I'll give you Edouard.
Odds on Edouard. I mean, he didn't really have a lot of time to work when he got on the pitch. Personally, I'd like to see him starting. Whatever about him and Vieira having this beef, quite frankly, persisting with Mateta is turning more and more fans away from backing Vieira. So if Edouard is also misfiring like Mateta is, then clearly it's a striker problem. But he didn't really have much of an impact on the game. If I go anything over a 5, I'm being beyond crazy. So I'll go 5 at a push.
Yeah, that's all the players. I think as a thing to finish on is I think we should after what we're talking about today, we should build a starting 11 for Brighton.
I can't do it.
So
That's a good idea.
yeah, let me share my screen real quick.
No.
So we're gonna build an 11, and I'm not doing none of this 4-2-3-1, just 4-3-3. Back to what we did with Vieira, 2 8s, 1 6. We know it works from last season. Let's fill it in. So,
Can I argue we go 5-3-2?
Is Decore
Yeah,
back for Brighton?
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
that's-
only one game.
That's a huge relief.
Can
I need the charger.
Yeah.
I argue we go 5-3-2?
Check. Check the Corey.
No.
Yeah.
Slam.
Yeah.
Good
So
night.
Fair enough.
No. Nah.
I can't. We can't keep being that negative. If we're being this negative already,
Wait, who said it'll be negative? Give me a chance. It was more of an attack thing. Nah, give this one.
You know what?
attacking,
I'm thinking 4-2-1-3. Or am I being mad?
that's the same thing as 4-2-3-1, really.
4-2-3. Yeah, I guess.
JC, I've got a question.
What's up?
Would you give Wilf the captain? Would you give Wilf the captaincy for Brighton?
Nope.
Nah. It's a good question because when he has had the captain's armband, he's a lot calmer and a lot more mature on the pitch. However, with how he's been,
And he understands the fixture.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't think that he can warrant getting that kind of responsibility on what he's been doing lately. But that's just me thinking. I don't think that what he's done really warrants him to deserve that captaincy. I think if you're going to give it to anyone, it's got to be. I would rather my captain be Anderson rather than Gay if it's going to be like that, in my opinion, personally.
Yeah, that's it.
Just before we start, there's two comments I really want to get back to. Neil saying here, do you think PV knows his best 11? He changes it so much. I don't think he does. I don't think he does either. Or it's an attitude issue at the minute, and he's kind of just picking players he trusts. And actually, what Jackie's saying here, I think he's so much related to trust. He doesn't believe in some players. Yeah. Well, he's got to find the right balance. We've got 12 games.
That's fair. That is a fair comment to make.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, when you have a striker who can't score for Toffee, one who's apparently got an attitude problem off the pitch, I'm not surprised that he changes who plays up front every other game. To be fair.
Cool. Yeah. JC, run us through this.
All right, Rich, goalkeeper.
VG.
I'll put Mitchell in, but that's a talking point. Are we? Is it Mitchell still, no matter what, even though he is our only left back, or do we? I wouldn't say drop him, but do we give him a bit of competition, saying, "Yo, Gyro could be coming for you, big man, because you're playing dead right now."
I'll put Chris Richards out there.
Nah.
Gyro.
Okay, so we got a Chris Richards, we got a Gyro. Dan, are we a Mitchell or are we a Richards?
I mean, I don't want to be a Mitchell, but I think I have to be a Mitchell because I think Riedewald's fine at left back, but I don't think he will provide the width that we would need for the left back. Richards, I've never seen play at left back, so I don't know. The only other
Wolves have equalised, by the way.
Oh, you.
Uh,
That's my.
We are 13th. We're no longer 12th. We're 13th.
Wow, pigs really do fly. Yeah, and then the only other alternative is Teo Adamarola, who is like obviously, I don't think he's ready.
No, he's not.
So, I mean, his dribbling skills are unreal, but he needs to sort out his passing, man. So yeah, unfortunately, I think I would be still a tie.
Dan, who left centre back.
Gay.
Nate, right centre back.
Joachim Anderson.
Luke, right back.
As it's Brighton, give it to Ward.
If Ward keeps that record,
wait, hold up. You want to play Ward against Mitoma? Boy.
Yeah.
Boy.
You're brave, Luke. But I think
Very brave.
I think Luke's hoping that Ward's record against Brighton holds up on that.
Hey, man's entitled to his opinion. That's all I'm going to say about it.
That's a reach, but it's his opinion, so I can respect it.
Yeah, for real.
As it's Brighton. It's just as it's Brighton.
Remember, Kleiny's been there for a minute. You know, he knows what the deal is.
I'm not going to ask AJ who he wants in DM because it's obvious what we want. So, our first central midfielder, AJ.
Ahamada.
Yep, 100%.
Rich, the other central midfielder.
Sambi.
I would have said Will Hughes personally, but I can understand Sambi.
I want Maka in there.
Yeah, I was thinking along Maka, but then I forgot about the Conga. So,
I guess I have to go Will. If it'll be rude not to. Dan, right wing.
Well, Elise, isn't it?
Yep, and finally, Nate, who we leading the line with?
Jean-Philippe Mateta. I'm joking. Oddson Edouard.
Mateta.
Are we
Even
going
though
to
he loves a
change
goal
anything?
against Brighton, I can't back that guy anymore. Like, I just can't do it for the sake of my health.
Are we going to change
You know
anything?
who scored against Brighton, you know that, right? You know he's going to score Wednesday, right? Mateta.
Yeah. If he gets baller of the week, remember, Dan's got to shave his beard off.
As does Nicky, by the way.
Wait. What's the bet?
So in the Premier League review, there's a segment saying baller of the week and then brick of the week, and Dan and Nicky both said that if Mateta's officially baller of the week, like no Palace bias aside or whatever, they have to shave off their beards.
Ooh.
I feel I'm not gonna lie, I've said it, but I think it's an incredibly safe bet. I'm not gonna lie.
Boys, before we finish, are we happy with this, or would we change anything?
As I mentioned,
Controversial
I
opinion.
personally would say Hughes over Lokonga because Hughes has got a bit of bite in him in midfield, and I want to see us stick it. I want to see us put it up to them rather than just let them do what they want, because that's the one thing I've seen from us lately. Remember, we did a watch on Rich for it, and what were we saying? We're getting overrun in midfield. We need players that are unafraid to challenging. But I can't fault Lokonga. But me personally, I'd change Lokonga for Hughes.
Klein for Ward for me. And I think Kleiny did a decent job.
I was going to say that one. Kleiny.
He did a decent job against Matoma last time round. So.
Okay, AJ said he had a controversial
I could just picture.
opinion.
I could picture Matoma just having his way with Ward.
Yeah, AJ, you said you had a controversial opinion. What's that?
Oh, controversial opinion. This might sound mad, you know. I'd actually go Wolf on the bench. Might think I'm crazy, but Wilf hasn't really done anything. And nothing's to say that Wilf can't come off the... No, but hear me out, right? Nothing's to say Wilf can't come off the bench in the second half and do something, you know, and have him riled up.
No, AJ,
it's only because he come back.
I'm backing you. I think if anything, drop him to teach him that. Listen, you have to be ready to turn up, whatever about his contract situation. Because hopefully he leaves in the summer anyway. Because he's obviously going on a free. He's not undroppable, and his performances since he's come back from injury have been hit and miss. So I'd actually back dropping him, because if he has to come on as an impact sub, that might see him actually put a rocket up his backside because he needs it.
That's true. Also, I'm not convinced he's actually leaving, you know. I know all signs point to that, but you got to factor in you've got to factor in he's a family man now. You know, what other... I mean, if he's leaving us, he's only leaving us for a top 6. And what top 6 club needs a 30-year-old Wilfred Zaha in comparison to the wingers they got now?
Not to mention, I don't see him starting at a lot of those clubs either. So that's a problem for him.
And he won't get the money he thinks he's going to get at those clubs, you know, because he's getting what, 150 with us, 140, 150 with us.
2-1 Newcastle.
Yeah, they've just scored.
2-1 Newcastle.
So we are now back to that eternal position of 12.
I'll take 12. I'll take a 12th place finish. Let's go.
3 things guaranteed in life: death, taxes, and
Oh
Palace.
no! It's offside. It's offside.
For God's sakes.
You know what? Before we start getting more upset, we're going to round it out very fast. Yeah. Nate, please shout yourself out, mate.
Yeah, you can find me here on Eagle Eyed Football. You'll find me here doing Get Amped later on this evening. I can't wait to talk about other teams winning games of football, because I don't know what that is, unfortunately, being a Crystal Palace fan. So, you know, it is what it is. But we move. Next.
Luke.
I'm just going to say, let's hope we get the win on Wednesday night.
Jinx! Jinx!
AJ.
Oh my! Look at my big head.
Goal stands.
It's It's your boy It's your boy. Oh my god, it's your boy AJ. Obviously, Twitter's down there if you want to add, man. Obviously, I'll do back of the nest as well. We're gonna get those points, lads. Just keep the faith. Back my manager. Keep the faith. We got this.
Done.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I was. Apparently Newcastle have scored, but anyway. Sorry. Yeah, I'm down there. Right down there. It's my app. I'm on Twitter. I do have a YouTube channel, but I haven't done anything for a while. I just need to get back in the swing of doing it. I just haven't really been bothered recently. On Twitter, I'll put like the other day I sadistically made myself watch the Villa game back and went through our tactics and basically said what we need to do differently and stuff like that. So if you like tactics and stats and stuff, you give me a follow on there.
That is the match reaction for Man City 1, Crystal Palace 0. That's it, man.
Just before we wrap up, it's going to be a very busy week, by the way, so bear with us. There's going to be a lot going on.
Yeah, we're going to stick around. Should we stick around a little bit after just to get it all sorted out today, or just now?
Yeah.
It'll take about 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's fine with me.
Yeah, go on, why not then?
All right, that is it, boys. We are out. Up the Palace.
Up the Palace. Eagles.